Hey y'all, it's Laura and welcome to my Purge Your Stash series. Now to begin, we are going to be talking about a couple of tips and tricks that I'm going to put at the beginning of each and every video in this series to help you work through your stash, because I don't know where you're going to find this series. Are you going to find it in the middle, at the end? Either way, you'll have all the tips every single time. So the very first tip that I have is to evaluate your space. So you're going to look at what you have storage-wise now and really think about if it's working for you. Is it accessible to you? Is it appealing to you? Do you want to go and dig through those bits and pieces that you have and the way that you have them currently organized? If that answer is no, then it's time to find a new system. Maybe do a little bit of research online and find new options for yourself that do appeal to you, things that you find exciting and interesting, and that's the way you want to go. Now, also in evaluating your space, you want to consider whether or not you're finding things easily. So is it fairly easy to go put your hands on what you need right now? Because if it's not, then your system isn't working. And that is another little layer of where you want to begin right now. Just look around what you have, make a list if you need to of ideas of things you'd rather use for organization. Really break down what is or is not working about your space. Secondly, we're going to define our space. So we're going to decide how much of our space are we going to devote to each individual thing. So for example, single sheets of paper. How many cubes in your cube shelf are you going to devote to single sheets of paper? Do you have a whole cabinet that you're devoting to single sheets of paper? Do you have a bin like this one to devote to single sheets of paper? That needs to be a very defined space, and that will give you a natural boundary and keep you from trying to hold on to everything. By defining that space, you will know that you have a limit. And another way you can define that space and create those limits is to create a time period limit. So this is looking at your stash and realistically asking yourself, how many pieces of paper can I use in, say, a year, 5 years, 10 years? Whatever age limit you want to put on your stash, you certainly can. And especially if you're trying to pare things down a lot. So if you really need to purge your stash in a big way, that's a great way to do it, is to give yourself a realistic timeline. How much can I use in this period of time? And that way you're not holding on to so much that you get overwhelmed every single time you sit down to scrap. The third tip is to work small and smart. And what that means is we're going to be separating things into small sections. We're not going to take all of one thing and try to make decisions on it at one time, because we will get overwhelmed, we will make a giant mess, and we will not want to continue the project of purging our stash. So I would encourage you to use one supply at a time, decide where you want to start, focus on those things, and then move on. So when we're going through the process, we're going to be creating 3 piles. We're going to have a yes pile. We're going to have a maybe pile. We're going to have a no pile. And a really important element here is that when things go in the no pile, they're gone. They don't live at your house anymore. We're not touching them again. Once it hits that no pile, it's done. Its life in your life is over. You're separating yourselves from that stack. So pretend that stack is gone. You may want to put that stack in a box that's a little bit out of sight so you're not tempted to dig through there and try to find supposed gems, because I promise you, if it was a gem, you would have put it in the yes pile. Along the vein of those piles, you want to make these decisions very quickly. You do not want to sit and think and mull over every single piece of paper, okay? Give it a quick scan. If you want to play with it right now, if it's exciting to you, or if it's something you know you'll use, put it in that yes pile. Or for the maybe pile, I would put things that you're like, I think I could use this, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing. I'm pretty sure I could use it, but I don't think it's my favorite thing. I'd put that in the maybe pile. And if it's a no, those are things that are no longer your style. They are things that just don't appeal to you in the moment. You're not scrapping that sort of thing anymore. Let me give you an example. If you used to scrap a lot of pictures of your kids going to school, so you have a lot of school collections, but let's say your kids are done with school, those collections are not that helpful to you anymore. They can go in a no pile. And that's a pretty safe way to sort out your piles. Now, another thing to keep in mind when you're making those no piles is you need to decide, am I gonna keep doubles So either yes or no, because sometimes that's a really quick and easy way to make a yes pile a little bit smaller is by taking those doubles and moving them to the no pile. I know that's hard because if we bought more than one of a sheet of paper or a pair of stickers, there was a reason. We loved it. The next thing I would say is, are you going to put an age limit on your stash? So is there a group of things that you bought 20 years ago but have not used? You've bought 10 years ago, but you have not touched. You need to really think hard about whether or not you're going to put an age limit on your stash, and if those things haven't gotten used in that amount of time, are you realistically going to use them? So ask yourself those hard questions before you start. Separate into 3 piles and then stick to your decisions. That maybe pile is going to just go into your yes pile if you have room and your no pile if you don't. So make sure those are quick and hard and fast decisions. Those are decisions you're going to stick by. And that is how we're going to purge our stash. Now let's head over to the desk and I'll show you what supply we are working with today. So for today's video, we are looking at 3D embellishments. Now, this is my container of 3D embellishments outside of wood veneer, cork, things like that I use a little bit more often. I really don't reach for these very often. This is kind of a mishmash of things that either I have found on sale or found in kits, gotten in kits and kit clubs. And some of these things are more 3D than others. This is kind of an others category for me. This is stuff that doesn't fall into my normal categories. I do have some wood veneer in here though, I see. So here's some of that color cast that I was talking about in my last video. It's a nice thin, beautifully thin wood veneer. I will be keeping that. Just looking at these others though, I think I can safely say that most of these will go. Let's see, just quick look, Laura. Okay. Wasn't expecting to find wood veneer in here. It's not where it belongs. These 3 are gonna go. This one will stay. And just a little bit more back here. I think I can let those go. All right. So there's some painted wood veneer in the bottom of this that I think is thin enough I can use it. Jelly bean soup's pretty thin. The potty people I won't use, so I'll just let those go. Well, this is going to be faster than I thought. But yes, but digging through here, we have a lot of different bits and pieces. Some of them are more 3D than others. Some of them, like these felt stars, which I'm pretty sure came from Felicity Jane, are very squishy. They're going to give a lot easier than, say, these buttons here, which are from Scrap and Happy Studio. I love them, but they are quite thick, and I don't tend to use things that are quite this thick on my layouts. What I might want to do with something like this is to hold on to them to use for an outside, like a non-scrapbooking project. I might keep a couple of those for that. There we go. Have some little pieces that I think are metal. I don't know where that came from. So yeah, lots of random bits and bobs in here. I'm gonna kind of bring it all out, have a quick look. We'll go through it and decide what to keep and what to get rid of. And as long as it fits back in this box, we should be good to go. That box was sort of bursting at the moment, which is fine now that I've recognized it was full of wood veneer that didn't belong in there. So let's start by separating by type. I have a lot of acrylic. I have some fabric, is what we're gonna call that. So acrylic, fabric, these little tassels can kind of be their own category, I think. More fabric. We have metal just there. These are, of course, those large buttons. More metal, more fabric. This is rubber. These are old embellishments. So more fabric, rubber. A lot of the Felicity Jane ones are rubber. These are technically metal, so let's put those up there. These are just up on some foam. They're just kind of ephemera that's been put up on foam, so I'm gonna put those over here. Same for these. Got a whole stack of acrylic because I did work on the lovely Bella Boulevard team this last year. I do have quite a bit of their stuff. Some more charms, some more charms. These are chipboard shapes. We can put those there. These are fabric, and more acrylic. So let's put all my acrylic together. I can tell you right off the bat, this is a bit of ribbon. I'm thinking that that again was part of the other category. I didn't know what else to do with it, so that's where it went. We can start with the easy stuff. So these I'm gonna keep. I'll probably just take the foam, little foam square underneath, adhesive foam off of there, and just make them flat, little ephemera pieces, easy peasy. Then the fabric ones, I'm a big fan of fabric embellishments. I am excited to use all of these, so I'm going to keep this whole stack. Same with the chipboard, it's super thin, so it shouldn't be any problem to use. This is where things get tricky. So with acrylic, and a lot of what's in here is acrylic. I think I do have some little charms in here as well, but the majority of this is just loose acrylic from a variety of places, honestly. And what I have discovered is acrylic, a lot like wood veneer, is not very forgiving on a scrapbook page, and it's not really something that I reach for terribly often. So I think what I'm going to do here is to just pick out a few bits and bobs that I like. I see there's some charms still mixed in with here. If I find more of those, I will go ahead and pull those out, because I do love charms. I don't use these in scrapbooking. I tend to use these metal embellishments in mini albums. I use them in other projects, so I don't really feel the need to get rid of those. The same with the tassels. I would not use this on a scrapbook layout. I would more likely use this as a bookmark, to make a bookmark, or on a mini album. The same with these as well. I will say that there was a couple of these that I didn't think I would use as easily. So I'll probably split those half and half, keep 3, get rid of 3 more. So that's pretty easy. That's those sorted. What it comes down to is these heavier embellishments. Now, the rubber embellishments are much easier to use because, like the fabric, they're squishy, they're not heavy. So they don't take up a lot of weight, they don't create a lot of weight on the page, and they don't add a lot of bulk. So I'm gonna go ahead and let myself keep those, but the acrylics are really where I'm going to pare down a lot. In this case, I'm having a look, and especially the ones that are super thick, I'm gonna let those go fairly quickly. Because I'm just not going to reach for those, and especially these large words are going to add a lot of bulk to a layout. And again, these will all, anything that I let go of will be donated. And so I'm just trying to be very picky with myself and kind of going, okay, which ones can you see yourself using? If not on a scrapbooking project, on any project. And some of these I do, some of these I don't. I think the thinner pieces and the smaller pieces will be a lot easier for me to use, whereas the larger ones, less so. And so I will share those with friends and with other scrappers that are in the area. Let them have a go with these fun bits and pieces so they can try them out. So these are gonna go, these are gonna stay. And this little container, I'm looking kind of specifically to see if there's anything in here I want to pull out. That's not super thick. This Memories one is nice. And the Wish Big is not super thick, so I guess I'm gonna let myself keep that one. The rest of these are quite thick, so I'm thinking that these are probably all going to go. Again, if I find more of these lovely little charms, which I think came from Pink Paisley, then I will pull those out. But every other bit and piece in here is quite thick, and I don't think it's something that I'm really going to reach for. So I'm going to let these go as well. So this one ended up being kind of a mix. Here I did get rid of some of the wood veneer, which I've already set aside. That was easy. And then I ended up keeping probably, I want to say I ended up keeping about 65%, 70%, and getting rid of 30%. But for me, This will all fit in that one container. It's not going to take up a ton of space. It'll be easier to go through to find these bits and pieces when I need them later. And these bits, which I'm not likely to reach for, some of these I know are extremely old and I've had for many years in this container. I'm completely fine with letting those go. They've had some time in my craft space and didn't get used, so they're clearly not a priority. These, again, are just not my normal reach for sort of bits and pieces. I got them from a design team, so I'm okay with letting those go as well. But that's it for my 3D embellishments. I'm pretty happy with what I've got left, and I hope that helped you guys get some idea of how to work through how you're going to use the bits and pieces in your stash. Do think about what sort of projects you're using them for. So like these in particular are for off the page projects. And so I know exactly what I would use those for. I'm okay with keeping some of those. Whereas say these here, they're not going to work for the projects that I intend to do, so I'm going to let them go. So that makes it a little bit easier, I think, to kind of sort through something like this. It's a little bit more miscellaneous, is to group them into categories, decide what kind of projects you actually intend to use them for, and whether or not they'll work for those projects. And then from there, start paring down your favorites. Keep the favorites, let the others go. That's it for this one, guys. I hope it helped and I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, bye y'all.